Okay, I think it's showtime. Hello, everyone. My name is Tammy Yates-Rajaduray. Before we get started on this pre-summit day, I want to make sure that everyone requiring translation and accessibility services for today is set up to do so. Simultaneous French and English interpretation are available using the language button at the bottom of your Zoom window. You can turn on your English closed captioning using the captioning button. Our American Sign Language, ASL, and LSQ, La Ligne des Signes Québécois interpreters will be visible on screen. If you are unable to see them, it could be because you are in full screen view. I know you might want to see me, but seeing them might be a little more important at this point. Please change your view settings at the top of the window, and thank you for your patience. After 2+ years of Zooming, we know that sometimes these things take some time to just get right. I'm going to repeat this in French. Avant de commencer, je veux m'assurer que tous ceux qui ont besoin de services d'interprétation pour la réunion aujourd'hui sont bien installés. L'interprétation simultanée du français et de l'anglais est disponible à l'aide du bouton langue en bas de votre fenêtre Zoom. Vous pouvez activer le sous-titrage en anglais à l'aide du bouton de sous-titrage, également en bas de la fenêtre Zoom. Nos interprètes ASL et LSQ seront visibles à l'écran. Si vous ne parvenez pas à les voir, cela peut être dû au fait que vous êtes en plein écran. Veuillez modifier vos paramètres d'affichage en grille à l'aide du menu en haut de la fenêtre. Merci pour votre patience. Welcome again, bienvenue. As I mentioned just 1 minute ago, my name is Tammy Yates-Rajaduray, and welcome to those who are joining today's pre-summit. I am the Executive Director of Realize. On behalf of the organizing committee, Melissa Egan, Janet London, Elizabeth Rash, David Stempowski, Roger Musselman, R.T. Hurry, Melissa Popiel, and myself, it is my honor to welcome you to this pre-summit that is taking place as we lead up to the second annual Virtual National Summit on Episodic Disabilities and Employment, which starts tomorrow. So we do hope that you join us. I'd like to take this time to thank Employment and Social Development Canada, ESDC, for the financial support for this event. We have participants, all of you, joining today's pre-summit from coast to coast to coast. And to ground us as we begin the pre-summit, I'd like to acknowledge the lands on which we're all situated, Turtle Island, now called Canada, as well as the specific lands from which I am currently speaking, Toronto. This land is the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, in particular, the territory of the Anishinaabe, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Ojibwe Chippewa peoples, the land that is home to the Métis, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. As a settler on this land for the last 10 years, I'm genuinely grateful to have the opportunity to live, to work, to love, and to play on this land. And I give my full respect to its first inhabitants. In this, the International Women's History Month, I want to specifically acknowledge Indigenous women and remember those who are missing and those who have been murdered. Each of us has a role to play to ensure that call to action number 41 in the Truth and Reconciliation Report is fully implemented and not forgotten. Before I pass the mic over to our moderator for the day, Gail Restall, I'd like to say just a few words about Realize and why we are hosting this pre-summit today. For 23 years, for over 23 years, Realize has helped lead work across Canada and internationally from an intersectional perspective to improve the health and well-being of people living with HIV, including a focus on income and livelihoods. As HIV evolved, our work has evolved, and we recognize that many people living with HIV and people living with other conditions and illnesses may experience periods that are episodically disabling or dynamic, meaning that they experience intermittent periods of wellness and disability that are difficult to predict and that can fluctuate. This can affect people's ability to work, retain employment, or return to the workforce after an episode, as well as maintain an adequate livelihood. As research and lived experience has clearly demonstrated over the last 2+ years, we can now add long COVID to the list of examples of the conditions that can lead to episodic disability, and hence our focus on long COVID today. And I'd like to plug a report called The Pandemic Pandora's Box, which Realize developed and speaks specifically about this issue. Roger or Melissa will place the link for this report in the chat so that you can access it after the pre-summit, of course. Unfortunately, there is still very little understanding of episodic disability among employers across the country and among employer stakeholders. And government employment policies and standards still exclude people with episodic disabilities until recently. This is why a national action plan is needed, and discussions like this one that we will have during the pre-summit and the summit itself are so important. We have to address the range of complex barriers to inclusion that people living with episodic disabilities face. As the Secretariat for the National Episodic Disabilities Forum, Realize is dedicated to bringing individuals together from multiple disability communities and organizations to work on these shared issues to make a collective impact. As we often say here at Realize, everyone knows someone living with an episodic disability, and like me, who now has a loved one living with long COVID, almost everyone may know someone living with post-COVID-19 syndrome, or PCC, as identified by medical practitioners, or long COVID, as it's called by COVID long haulers. This is truly only the beginning of this national discussion on long COVID, episodic disability and employment, and we hope that you will join us as we continue this journey. It's my sincere pleasure to introduce Gail Restall, a longtime Realize board member, our current co-chair of the board, and an occupational therapist by profession. Gail will be moderating our pre-summit today. Thank you so much, Gail. Over to you.